everybody? Welcome to week number podcast. My name is Daryl. Here's my co-host Spencer. Spencer, how you doing, Big Bird?
What's going on, everybody?
Did your feathers get ruffled this weekend?
Yeah, I guess.
Yes. Pretty good weekend for you, let's be honest.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. I had fun, man. I went out to College Gameday out on the campus of UT out there in Austin. It was fun, man. I'm glad I got the opportunity to do that.
It was a hot Saturday, and you texted me at 4:30 in the morning, and you said, I overslept. And no one on earth has ever texted anyone at 4:30 in the morning and said, I overslept.
Yeah, because I had original plans to get there at right around 3 in the morning, and I was
when it was still nighttime.
Yeah, because I was going to sleep at some family's house, and then I was going to go and be there for 3, and I was going to have a chair and a cooler full of water, but I didn't get up in time, but it turns out that wasn't a problem at all, and it wouldn't have affected anything, so It's all good.
At what point do you consider night to now be morning?
When the sun comes up.
It comes up?
Yeah. I know a lot of people probably consider it, like once midnight hits and then we get into like 1 and 2 in the morning. Yeah, it's still 1 and 2 in the morning.
It's once I wake up.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be.
I agree.
Maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but hey, it's morning now.
Yeah.
Short day.
Night doesn't have to mean dark. I mean,
that's right.
Most of the time it does, but
we get to see more than just regular old game day. There were some pretty interesting guests, given we were in the Lone Star State.
Yes, sir. The one, the only, the Undertaker was
Big Bad
there.
Mark.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't expect him to be there.
I didn't either, man. I saw it on TV. I was like, Taker's there? Like, excuse me? He does that?
Yeah, like, I didn't expect it, and then they had a little screen, and I saw, it was before they introduced him, but I just saw his Titantron video play, and I was like, why are they playing the Undertaker's video right now? And then they started playing, and then they started playing his music, and I was like, what is going on? And then they announced it there, and then he like walked out to all that purple smoke, and then that was that part of it before they started talking to him, and then while they were talking to him, I was standing like literally like 10 feet from him. Like I have several pictures that I took on my phone.
Yeah, if you want to see that, because Spencer took a lovely video of it, you can check out our Facebook page because that's where he put it. So
yeah, you
can see a picture of Big Mark, and you can see him in his sunglasses, and if you watch the game day, like the actual College Game Day broadcast, whenever he was on stage, Undertaker is very great at what he does. Like, he's a fantastic wrestler. He's a fantastic persona. But boy, when he is Mark Calloway, he cannot not say things like "I tell you what," and things like and things like that's a guy that like he has about 3 phrases that he sticks to when he talks. And when he's standing around Herb Street and all the boys, he's not what you would call very well spoken. But man, love that guy. There was a time where he wouldn't even go to the grocery store because he was so committed to being the Undertaker. He would have somebody do it. Like, he wouldn't go in public unless he really had to. Mm-hmm. So that man's dedicated to his character. But awesome to see him years later in Austin. And,
he's great. And who would have known? All my years of being a WWE fan. Not as much anymore, but who would have guessed that the first time I'd ever be up close and personal with the Undertaker would be at College Game Day instead of a wrestling show.
It's like if I saw Kevin Hart at a basketball game. I'm a huge fan of his, but I've never actually been to one of his shows. So it'd be hilarious if it was just, hey, he's at a Spurs Philly game. That'd be something.
Yeah, he's probably at basketball games all the time.
You kidding me? He has so much fun, like, heckling people.
Oh yeah, it's great.
He's pissed LeBron off so many times, and then cost his team the game because LeBron decided to go off.
That sounds
Yeah, that's a YouTube wormhole for you and all of our viewers.
Yeah, I'll have to go look at that.
Yeah. So should we talk like actual college football? Since this is a show about college football,
we should definitely do that.
Top 25. Well, actually, no. Let's start with the games from the weekend, because after that, you came and we watched the two most anticipated games of the weekend.
Yeah, the Texas A&M at Clemson, and then obviously the LSU at Texas. We watched both games. It was fun. The A&M game didn't go the way we wanted it to, but
that was an ugly game.
It was. I don't even know if it was an ugly game. I don't think it was what everyone expected it to be. Like,
there were huge expectations because last year was such a almost A&M somehow managed to upset the number one team. Or they may have been number two last year. I don't quite remember.
I think they were number two.
I think they were two, but they were expecting the same thing this year, especially with another year under Jimbo, and sort of refining some of the talent that he brought in. But didn't go that way, man. What did you see? What was the big determining factor that made that game such a wet blanket?
Yeah, I mean, we were just both sitting there. We were watching it, obviously, and Kellen Mond couldn't connect on any of his throws. He was throwing way too high, and A&M's
opening play had a touchdown. But just
opening drive. It was probably third play of the game. He had a wide open touchdown, and he overthrew him by about 5 yards. And A&M's offense could never really go on. Their defense balled out, but
defense looked really good. I would argue that that's going to be one of the lower scores that Clemson puts up this year.
I agree.
I think that to hold the number one team in the nation with potentially the Heisman front runner this year to under 30 to under 25 points is a pretty task.
Yeah.
So A&M had their chances. It was but it was a wet blanket of a game. I mean, it was just, and it's one thing to lose, but and the score doesn't tell the full story because the touchdown they scored was in like garbage time. It was fourth quarter. There's no way in the last 4 minutes they're going to come back and win. So it was just really Clemson running, whatever coverages, and of course they want to get their, and that wasn't a goose egg because they had a field goal, but Clemson wants to make their win as dominant as possible. But realistically, it was garbage time. Kellen Mond got in a rhythm towards the end of the game. A little too late, and that was what I said last week about that game, was that if Kellen Mond plays a complete game, all 4 quarters, because he had several games last year where he was hot in the second half or hot in the first half, but never really both. And he had about 1 quarter where he was actually hot in that game, and it was just too little too late at that point.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that happened because, I mean, obviously both you went to A&M and I obviously cheer for them, vicariously through you.
Graciously, one of the only LSU fans that does that.
Yeah, I mean, no hate.
As an LSU fan, you had a pretty good night that night.
Yeah, dude. First off, the LSU Texas game was fantastic. I believe I said that it was going to be a very good game, and it turned out to be an excellent game. I was excited for this season. We're doing this podcast now, and I was excited for the season, and I was excited to be at game day. But watching this offense and watching that LSU have a freaking quarterback now has got me even more excited. Oh, my God. Joe Burrow, when was the last time you saw an LSU offense that was throwing the ball with 4 minutes left in the game with a lead? It's been, we don't do that. LSU never usually does that, and it was third on that last touchdown pass Joe Burrow threw. It was 3rd and 17, and we came out throwing the ball. It was.
Let me hit you with a question, Spencer. And both Joe Burrow and Sam Ehlinger both completed 31 passes in that game. Who do you think attempted more? Based on just the offenses and how they rolled.
I saw Joe Burrow's stat line earlier, but I don't remember. I want to say Sam probably threw more.
Sam threw more, but he also threw for 70 yards less. But they both threw for 4 touchdowns. Like I said, it was a great quarterback battle. Joe was 31 for 39. But what was most impressive to me is that how many yards they put through the air on the same amount of completions versus Sam in Texas. 12.1 average yards through the air. That is very, very nice to see, especially for an LSU offense. And I mean, if you were watching this game, and Kirk Herbstreit was talking about the entire game, was that typically LSU's offense historically is sort of play defense, chip away, go score, play defense, chip away, go score, and sort of burn clock, own time of possession. But this is just a V8 engine running down the field, taking huge passes. I mean, it was incredible. It was like you're expecting. I think that we were in the fourth quarter and they were up by a score, and you're thinking, okay, they just need to march down, take the ball out of the game, or take Sam Ehlinger out of the game, keep him off the field, and score. But no, they just went down and scored again. On usually about 2 runs and 4 passes that each pass went for about 15 yards or more. And
100%. And
no, you had to enjoy that.
Oh, it's so refreshing. Like, we have a quarterback now. And we haven't. LSU just typically doesn't run offense like this. We've always been a run first type of offense. Grind it out, time of possession type of offense, things like that. And which is fine. It works. That's a good strategy. But I believe it's cost us in games where we should be like trying to score. Instead, we're trying to play defense against teams that we should be trying to put up a bunch of points on.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a very smash mouth style of offense. I like the statement because LSU obviously already has a great defense, and I was thinking about it earlier, trying to figure out about Texas's offense. Is it a situation where LSU's defense is not quite where it needs to be, or is it a situation where Texas's offense really is that impressive? And so then I was thinking about it. Some of the throws that Sam Ehlinger made, they were, like mail in the mailbox. I'm talking very pinpoint. He made some excellent throws that game. I think LSU's defense is for real, as it typically is, especially with some of the DBs they've got. But I was very impressed with how well they fared against that defense, being able to put up 38 points and over 400 yards.
Yes, but you also have to remember that until we were deep into the third quarter, maybe almost into the fourth quarter, and Texas only had a touchdown. It was like 20-7.
Yeah, it was 20-7 for a good bit of that game. I think that they made some adjustments.
Yeah. And
Texas had opportunities early, too, with the drop touchdown pass and things like that.
And then the 2 goal line stands by LSU's defense, they went forward on 4th down twice in the red zone, and LSU stopped them. So, LSU stopped them. Joe Burrow threw the only interception of the game, which was a tipped pass, which I don't think should count. If it's a tipped pass, I don't think it should count toward the quarterback as an interception.
I've always thought that. But in theory, they throw too high. That was their mistake. I mean, I get it. I understand why it counts, but I thought that for years. Like, I don't know if it was no real interception. It was a it was what it was.
But then Texas gets the ball right there, and LSU's defense stops them. So I think this game was farther apart than the score really dictates.
Yeah.
But it was still a fantastic game.
Absolutely.
It's been as an LSU fan for a while, we haven't had an offense like this in forever. Usually our big, we had 3 wide receivers go over 100 yards receiving. Justin Jefferson, Terrence Marshall, and I forget the other guy's name. But it's amazing to see this type of offense, and I'm very excited.
We will talk more about that after a message from our sponsors. This message is brought to you by the thought of Coach Orgeron taking a direct snap and running it up the middle. I apologize, everybody. I had to take a quick intermission there to take care of something, but I am back, and we're still here gushing about LSU's win because, boy, it was pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like I said, we had 3 different wide receivers go over 100 yards: Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Terrence Marshall. Justin Jefferson had 9 receptions for 163 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase had 8 receptions for 147 yards, and Terrence Marshall had 6 receptions for 123 yards and a touchdown. So, very explosive, very high-octane LSU offense that we are not used to seeing.
honestly, man, and this is what I'll be honest with you about, is that the most impressive part to me is definitely the offense, but right next to that is the discipline, because the penalties were remarkably low. They were pretty even. It was both teams had only 6 penalties. LSU's went for 65 yards, 6 for 65. Texas was 6 for 50. LSU historically, as you know, the DBs are great, but they get a little aggressive sometimes. And I don't know how much of this was just the referees that night deciding to be a little more lenient on what they called, but I mean, 6 penalties is pretty dang good.
Yeah.
You pair that with a pretty bad offense. Like, when I say bad, I mean like Aaron Rodgers' bad offense. Then that's impressive, and I think that's why they're number 4 now.
Yeah. I was listening to, or I saw some interesting things earlier today, and I have my thoughts. I'm glad they moved up to number 4, but I think the argument could be made that based off of games that have been played this year and wins, that LSU could be number 2 behind Clemson, because Alabama and Georgia haven't really played anybody yet. So you could make the argument that LSU should probably be at number 2, but I'm fine with number 4.
Oh, and here's the way I feel about it: is the top 4 teams, the differences between the 4 are going to be so slim that it's tough to say, because especially since it is so early, I think anyone in the top 4 is very capable of beating the other 4. I mean, they're in, man. I would just be happy that they are in, and I think if they keep playing like this, provided they don't get too sort of full of themselves and a little overconfident, I think they're going to stay. I think they're going to stay pretty close to the top.
Yeah, and I'm glad we are. But a lot of the top 25 is based off of last year.
Absolutely, because that's all they have to go off of right now.
Very true, but which is why when the playoff rankings come out, it gets a little bit more official. But yeah, I do think that the difference in the top 4 teams will be negligible about who it is. But then you go from the difference of LSU at number 4. Like, if the playoffs started today, it would be Clemson versus LSU and Alabama versus Georgia. So it goes from the difference of, LSU would be playing Alabama in the playoff versus playing Clemson. So it's negligible right now, and so we don't really have to talk about it because we're not anywhere near knowing what the playoff is going to look like. But
everything is very, very early game right now.
Yeah, very. So it's something interesting to think about, something interesting to talk about. But it's just, as an LSU fan, it's exciting to see this type of offensive production because we haven't seen it in a very long time.
No doubt. It's reminiscent, and this is actually about the time I started really getting into football. But if you think back to that 2007 year when LSU won the Natty,
yes,
that was the last time you really saw LSU flying around the field looking like they were important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously they've always got the spark. They've always got the LSU sort of scruffiness. They've kind of got that like Pittsburgh Steelers, like we're not going to let you run over us type mentality. But they obviously have struggled in the past few years. So it's good to see them sort of back to their quote unquote true colors,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But
yeah, so yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Anything you want to get into?
Oh, let's see. I will say that in that, just real quickly, I know not to hop on these games too much, but they were sort of what consumed the weekend. I will say that Texas, although they lost the game, from a recruiting standpoint, they are much bigger in the eyes of all the Texas recruits than the Aggies are right now, just because you have a game in Austin, and it's sort of the reverse effect of what happened last year whenever A&M played Clemson at home. You have game day in town. You face a top 4 team. You could really, really close. I say top 4. You face a top 10 team. You come really, really close to taking them down. A storied team, and it's sort of a situation where A&M really went in and sort of had an ugly game against Clemson, and and it's one of those things where if they had lost, it'd be very different. I mean, if they lost and it was close, it'd be very different. Mm-hmm. But because it looked the way it was, that's not going to bode very well. It's going to make people scratch their head about Jimbo Fisher. But LSU, of course, only is trending up, and to see Texas take it to that defense like they did, regardless of the whole who is really DBU's situation, to see them take that many points and put up over 400 yards and 38 points against LSU, and to see the whole game day environment, and to see what DKR, that stadium, is going to look like. Recruits are looking more there right now, but it's early in the year. A lot of things change. So I always, and that's one of the things that I will say fundamentally I enjoy more about the NFL is that if a team has a terrible season, they get better picks. Yeah. If a team in college football has a terrible season, they get worse recruits.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what bothers me. There's a positive feedback loop in college football and a negative feedback loop in NFL, and I think that's why the NFL is usually more even across the board. Because terrible teams get better players, and better teams get not quite as good players.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other topic. Maybe we'll save that for another week.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? It's like make it, take it versus like turn the ball over once you score type thing.
Yeah. No, I completely get it. It'd be real weird if the winner of the Super Bowl was got the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Hey, so what do you think about the top 25 right now, Daryl?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. This is the first time I've looked at it. So, but I did see a couple of highlights from it through the week. I see A&M moved up, which is typical. Looks like Texas moved up, which of course is typical. Although Texas fell 3 spots. I mean, moved up as in a higher number. They didn't move. Let's make our terminology clear. They moved up toward Texas, and both Texas and A&M both moved down, so they're no longer as high. Because they lost. So they moved down. Utah looks like I think Utah may have stayed the same.
Yeah, Utah stayed at number 11.
Auburn is up, which I understand. LSU is up in the top 4, right where they belong, and then of course the top 3 remain unchanged. I mean, everything I'm seeing, I'm pretty comfortable with. Like to see Boise at 22. That's exciting. Good for Boise.
Boise's at 22. I'm glad to see Iowa State back in the top 25. They're at 23 right now.
Yeah. Maryland shot in because Maryland had a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah, Maryland's been taking their opponents and turning them into asphalt and just flattening them.
Yeah. I mean, every time I looked at that game, I didn't even watch it. I just sort of had it on, and every time I looked up, the score was just a ridiculous number at the bottom.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, I mean, everything is looking good. Wisconsin still, they've been flattening people. I haven't really seen or heard much about Penn State this year. They're obviously still a top 25 team. I don't think Michigan should be at number 10. I tell you that much.
No! Did they really stay at 10? Can we talk about that game?
Yeah, that game. Army should have won that game.
Army should have won that game.
I feel bad for Army, dude.
And that's one of those things, right? So that offense is one of those things. That offense, just like Citadel's last year, whenever they played against Bama, it's an interesting offense, and it will catch you off guard. So in games like this, when a defense is not, no matter how much you look at it on film and try to prepare for it, you can't simulate running that offense unless you actually run against it in practice. Film only does so much. And so when you look at a team like the Citadel last year, you look at a team like Army this year going against Michigan, who does not practice against that. That's not the typical Big Ten offense. It catches you off guard, and so a lot of times you're going to see that where the first half is very dominated by the other team because what on earth are they running?
But it wasn't even just the first half for Army. They dominated the whole game.
Oh, well, and that was the thing too, is their defense was very impressive, and that was the big takeaway for me. Obviously, it was nice to see them sort of get up early, but yes, I mean they dominated the line of scrimmage for the majority of the first half. I don't know that they have sort of the endurance that Michigan does. Which is interesting because it's Army, but realistically they don't have sort of the size up front, so they didn't have the eventually the D linemen are not going to be able to block those big Big Ten linemen, and they're going to give Shea Patterson a lot more time, which is exactly what happened.
But I mean, it came down to literally they fumbled the ball in that last drive of overtime, and Michigan picked it up. But there was a very realistic chance. If he would have made that field goal in regulation, Army wins this game. And They should have. Like, Michigan was number 7, and now they're number 10. I think they should be out of the top 10. Maybe not out of the top 25, but they should definitely be out of the top 10.
To be honest, I don't even see. I mean, I'm fine with them at 10. It's good that they moved up. I think realistically they should be 11 or 12. But let's go ahead and give some credit to Army. I feel like they should have moved up and potentially made it into the top 25.
Yeah, they're getting votes. So I do think at some point this season they will be in the top 25. Maybe they might sneak into the top 15. Because if you look at their schedule, the way they played against Michigan, I don't think they're going to lose another game this season. And if Michigan keeps doing good, Army's one loss being to Michigan kind of looks kind of good. So
favorable. Yeah, that's a game that Army would have talked about for a while, having that one. But that was a fun game to watch for sure.
Oh, it was great, And obviously with your
go ahead.
With your connections to your wife's connections to West Point, that being where her dad went. So
absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's great to see stuff like that. I mean, anytime you've got a team that is the underdog going against a top 10 team or a top 15 team that is, I don't want to say not well liked. There's a ton of Michigan fans out there, but I feel like Michigan is, of course, the butt of a lot of jokes. So it was good to see Army sort of get out there and beat the good guys,
Yeah.
Play the baby faces.
Yeah. I mean, because, Army and Navy way back in the day, like, they were the powerhouse teams, right? Mm-hmm. But then, and they have to run the offenses they run because of military weight requirements, right? They can't have these big 300-pound offensive linemen because, as I forget, and I'm sure other people do, when you watch, Army and Navy and Air Force, we forget these men are in the military. Like, they're in the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. And so, it's like, I feel like sometimes people just forget that you have to be in the military to go to West Point, to go to the Naval Academy, to go to the Air Force Academy. And so, but it was just cool to see Army do that, and they took Oklahoma to overtime last year too. So, I think Army might be on the come up.
I was very impressed with their defense. Army had 15 first downs, Michigan had 23, and yet you see where the score was. Army's defense bent but did not break.
For sure.
And in most cases. And, of course, you're looking at a good offense with Michigan. But very, very impressed with them overall. I think they have nothing to be ashamed of. Turnovers, of course, were a big thing. And then they did the big turnover, of course, being that the touchdown pass that they chose to throw in the first half. They got a little excited from last week's pass where they scored a touchdown instead of running it. And so they got a little greedy and threw into coverage, and Michigan took it back at like the 2-yard line. So that was unfortunate. They absolutely had their chances. I think, given the same circumstances, I think Army wins this game 7 out of 10 times. But Michigan got away with one.
Yeah. And he had the kicker had, an unlucky swing on that kick. He had the distance, but he hooked it too far to the right, and he makes that kick. Army wins the game. So,
and you got some told you. You have a couple of told you so's this weekend. What games that you were saying that there? I forgot exactly who it was, but there was one you picked, and you were like, "I told you," and I couldn't believe it. Was it North Carolina?
Oh, it was Washington and Cal. I was like, Cal's going to beat them.
Yes. I did not see that coming at all.
They beat them by a point. They beat them 20-19, but I was like, called it. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. And then we had a very interesting game that we missed, but would have been really nice to watch, was the Colorado and
Nebraska game.
Game. Yeah.
That game went to overtime.
Overtime. Good Lord. A tale of two halves. It looks like Nebraska went up 17-0 in the first half.
Colorado came back and got them.
Fourth quarter scored 24 points to push it to overtime.
Yeah.
Imagine being a Colorado fan watching that game.
Yeah, I mean, we both picked Colorado. We said they were going to pull it out. So,
and I thought they did too. Not because I think Colorado's super special. They're a great team. Don't get me wrong. But it wasn't. It was not a large amount of faith in them, but a lack of faith in Scott Frost. I like him. Don't know that he is the coach to save the program or not.
Yeah. He will be, but not this year.
Maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, good game. Really wish we would have caught some of that. And then poor Miami, but also at the same time, awesome for Matt Brown. Miami.
Oh yeah, no, I ain't worried about. No, it's not poor Miami. It's hell yeah, North Carolina.
Well, I just feel bad because Miami came so close against Florida, And you're thinking, okay, well, we can have a rebound. We have a lot of positives to take from that game. And then you go out and North Carolina beats you. But, I mean, again, another one of those good games that we missed because we were watching that egg laying that was the A&M game. So
return to the MAC,
salty.
Baby.
I'm not salty.
Return to the MAC. I'm glad. I'm glad Mac Brown is back to coaching. And it's like a big time name coming back to any sport. It's better whenever the big names are back. It's better when Jason Witten's playing for the Cowboys. It's better when Tiger Woods is on tour. It's better when Matt Brown is coaching college football. For sure, 100%.
Hey. Sleepy there, big cat.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a little.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yawn right into the mic.
It's all good, brother.
But yeah, so
what are people here for?
Yeah,
yawning ASMR.
Yeah, I mean, I get real close to my mic sometimes, and you can hear me breathing if you listen real close. So
if you just yawned, you gotta like the video. you gotta do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's shift our focus from last week to next week.
Yeah.
Or this week. This freaking week. There's some really big games this week. There's not any big games this week.
This is that week where, like, normally, like, we've had some action this season, but normally, this is the week where things kind of start to pick up. But it's like we went from real high with, like, Florida and Miami, and then we had a crazy week 1 with a bunch of upsets, and then couple huge marquee matchups in week 2, and then like almost nothing in week 3. So
and NFL just came back. This is the weekend where you kind of watch your NFL teams a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe do all your housework on Saturday, and then on Sunday sit down and
then you'll catch the night. Yeah, you'll catch the nightcap game. But yeah,
maybe so.
I remember you telling me one time, when you were in college, when you were at A&M, this is the weekend where everybody goes home. Like there's hardly anybody at the game. Because everybody goes home. I believe you. That's what you told me.
Yeah, nobody wants to watch like
A&M and Lamar.
And Lamar. No offense to our Lamar people, because we have some Lamar people. We love y'all, but nobody at A&M wants to go to that game after a loss to Clemson. But they'll definitely be showing up for the next big one that's at home.
Which is Auburn.
Oh God. Is it really Auburn? Is that really what's next?
I think it's Lamar. Then y'all got Auburn at home.
Oh, we owe Auburn because we've been trading wins. We've been trading wins and losses with them pretty evenly since joining the SEC. But I think they're up on us now, so I guess we're due. So we'll probably win this year.
Yeah. So
Auburn game is always something that never goes the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And that's why the other team ends up winning.
Yeah. Well,
when we are supposed to beat them, like the year we had Johnny, we don't. And when the year that they're supposed to beat us, like when we had Trevor Lawrence, we had Trevor Knight.
Yeah.
We never had Trevor Lawrence. We never will. When we had Trevor Knight, they were supposed to beat us that year, and we came out and punched them in the face. So it's Auburn never makes sense. That'll be a fun game.
I mean that missed horse collar tackles are a thing.
I watched it from the stands. Although I will say, fun story. That was that was an okay game for me because that game took place at 2 p.m. when the previous night at 4 a.m. I was meeting my wife, and I won't say meeting my wife, but we had just got together the previous night in a very romantic manner. But that's a story for another time. So that game was that was the Maroon Out game 2013. Lots of positive memories. Even if Johnny got horse collared and we got screwed out of the win. Lots of fun memories for me. So.
Oh, for sure, man. But look
at these featured games we got though. We got a couple. That are worth looking at.
Yeah. What you tell me about Washington State versus Houston, but it's going to be an NRG, so it's kind of like a home game for Houston. Let me know about that.
First of all, I need you to know something is that I was not prepared. I immediately was like, tell me about next week, but I didn't have the right tab open. So let me go to this game because I like Washington State. I am confident that Houston being in Texas is going to make it an interesting game, but I think Washington State will pace Houston in the first half, and then we'll break away probably around early third quarter, just after the half, and sort of run away with it. But I think Houston will hang in there for a bit.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. Washington State, their head coach is Mike Leach. He's known for the air raid offense. He was good at, that's what he ran at Texas Tech back in 2008 when they upset Texas on that pass to Michael Crabtree. But, Houston run, Dana Holgerson coaches Houston. I'm big on Houston. They're probably my third team behind LSU and A&M. But, yeah, I think I would love to see Houston get this one done, but I think Washington State gets them.
I agree. I think it'll be high scoring. I mean, they put up 31 on Oklahoma, which you talk about Big 12 defenses. But I mean, 31 against a top 10 team, something right.
Yeah.
And they look good against Prairie View as well. I mean, I don't know. It could be a fun game. I think like I said, I think it'll be close. Who did you say you take? Who do you like?
Washington State.
Do they cover the 8.5?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think they do. I think they get it by 13 or so.
Yeah, something like that. So,
your honest and truthful opinion about the score of Clemson at Syracuse.
Oh, see, now this is the game that Gameday almost went to had
they not get blown out by Maryland.
Had Syracuse not got blown out by Maryland. 63-20. But
is a dream ender.
Yeah, but Syracuse has had Clemson's number these past couple of years. 2 years ago, they beat them 27-24 in a Thursday night game up in Syracuse.
I remember that.
Clemson played bad. Their quarterback got hurt. That was when Kelly Bryant was still there. He got kind of injured. Clemson just played bad in that game, and that's when Eric Dungy was still at Syracuse, and they got him.
Last name.
Last year, I think it was the same score, just reversed, if I'm not mistaken. But it was in Clemson, and so Syracuse almost got him again. So I think Clemson will win this game, but I think Syracuse is going to make it close because they've had Syracuse has had Clemson's number. I like what Coach Dino Babers does at Syracuse, and so. But you never know. It's upstate New York. They're going to be playing in the Carrier Dome, I think Clemson will win, but I wouldn't be shocked if we're watching at the end and Syracuse kicks a game-winning field goal.
I agree, man. I think it's Trevor Lawrence has had a bit of a struggle in the past 2 weeks, kind of getting going, trying to get his pace. I mean, he's had to rely on ETN a lot for the running game. A lot of what you saw he did against A&M was just these little out routes where he would just throw it out to the side, and then they would toss over a couple of people to block. ETN would go run. They made a lot of adjustments in that game, and Trevor made a lot of plays, obviously, but he hasn't had a bit of trouble getting his engine started each game, even against Georgia Tech. So I think that Syracuse is going to do one or two things. They're either going to keep it very close in the first half, especially the first quarter, or they're going to straight up take the lead by like 7 or 10 points early on, and I think you're going to see Clemson come roaring back. But it's going to be interesting to see. I think Clemson gets it done.
It's going to be a very fun game.
It's going to be a very fun game, but I don't like the spread. I don't think it's going to be a 27-point difference. I don't think Clemson covers that.
Mm-mm.
No. The one concern I have, of course, is Syracuse's defense. They didn't look very good against Maryland, but Maryland may just be the truth. So
yeah, Maryland might be the real deal.
Yeah, they've got the whole they've got the whole like point to the sky because of a former player they had situation going on. So they got some magic on their team.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I think it'll be a fun game to watch for the first half, but I think the second half Clemson pulls away and makes it pretty ugly. Yeah,
Maryland might be the real deal.
Mm-hmm. Maryland could be the truth.
They could. But yeah.
Let me in the face with the game. Give me a matchup.
Tell me about Florida State at number 25, Virginia.
State and Virginia. You're really going to ask me about Florida State?
Yeah, I am.
It's ugly. I don't want to take Florida State in anything right now. I think it's going to be another one of those games where State just can't go the distance. They've shown up in hot, in flashes in the past couple games, but I just don't think they're going to have enough to get it done.
Yeah, I think Virginia gets them. I like Virginia's quarterback a lot. He's real good. But
and they've got to go to Virginia.
Yeah,
it would take a lot for Florida. I mean, it would take up a lot of adjustments from week to week for Florida. The type of issues that you're seeing right now with Willie Taggart over there is just inconsistency. It takes a long time to iron stuff like that out. Yeah. That's a programmatic thing.
Yeah, when you only beat Louisiana Monroe by 1 point because they missed an extra point, you got some problems.
Well, and here's the thing, man, is I think when you're looking at a team like Florida State that has such a historied, a historied history, when they have a background like that and playing like this, there's almost sort of a panic, if you're the coach, if you're the team, like, we're Florida State, we're supposed to be playing better than this, and that's not the environment that you want to go out in. You don't want to go out there being worried about. You don't want to worry about not losing. You want to go out and worrying about the process and winning.
Yeah.
Now they're in self-defense mode, and they're very combustible. They're going to keep imploding unless something changes.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be more dehydration on Florida State's part.
I can't believe that gets so often blamed.
Yeah, I almost said West Virginia. Virginia gets this done.
I agree.
Cavaliers. Yes, sir.
Cavalier Jets. They're gonna be flying over them, man. I think it's gonna be ugly, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. Florida State might hang around in the first half, but Virginia will.
This is not ULM, let me see. What game should I? Okay. So. Another coffin is just waiting for South Carolina, and that comes in the form of the Big Red Machine over in Alabama, over in Tuscaloosa. Tell me, Spencer, I'll win this game. I need you to tell me how bad South Carolina is going to lose this game.
Probably about like 35 points.
5?
Yeah, I just highlighted it because, South Carolina's quarterback is, came off a great season. I mean, a great performance last week. Yeah, they were against an FCS team. But South Carolina has a history of beating Alabama when they're ranked high, but I don't think this is the year that happens.
I don't think it is either, but it's worth circling, like you said, and I think it's worth at least watching the first half. Alabama, same thing kind of as Clemson, has been a little slow to get started in the past couple of games. It wouldn't surprise me because of the confidence of this new quarterback, and I don't know who they swapped to, but I know he put up 70 points last week against
Ryan Hilinski.
Who did they put up against? It was 72-10 against Chicago or something.
Is that
Chicago?
GSU.
State? No,
whatever GSU is.
Whatever this acronym is, Charleston
Southern.
72. I mean, that's a pretty absurd score. So I don't know. I think that there is promise with this young QB. I think that Bama gets it done. But again, and this is kind of a repeating thing, but I feel like the first half, if a couple things go right, South Carolina can make it interesting. Mm-hmm. Especially with that new offense, especially since it's at South Carolina. So, yeah, obviously we know how this is. We've seen this movie before. We know how this ends.
Yeah, oh for sure.
You never know. It could be a big confidence builder if this QB can put up, at least a good handful of yards, maybe a touchdown against Bama's defense. I think that would go a long way for their season.
Yeah, oh for sure. But yeah, I think Alabama wins. I think they win big. But it just, like I said, there's not really any more interesting games to talk about. Mm-hmm. There's a few, but
you got one more listed there.
Yeah, 2 more I think. But
did I miscount? Oh, it is. Yeah, I forgot about our special game of the week.
Yeah. Well, so tell me about Stanford at UCF.
I'm taking UCF all the way. Stanford after that blowout, you could argue that they're going to have a comeback game. That they're not a comeback game, but they're going to have sort of like a rebound game where they're going to come out and things are going to change a little bit. I just don't see it, especially against a UCF team that on their shoulder. So yeah, I like UCF here.
Yeah, UCF big, maybe not big, but UCF by at least 2 touchdowns. They're going to be in Orlando. Stanford's got to go across the country. That's going to be that thing about your body not being used to. You're going to be a different time zone. So, But I just saw that Stanford's getting their quarterback back for this week against UCF. But I still think UCF gets it done.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'd be a good game to watch, though. I started to say it was going to be my recliner game, but I don't know that I have a good recliner game this week because I feel like they're all going to go how we think they are.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the Iowa versus Iowa State game?
We didn't. So Iowa at Iowa State. Game day is going to be in Ames for the first time. College Amesday, as Cyclones fans are talking about it.
Amesday.
Yeah.
I'm into it, man. I'm into it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Like I said, it was going to be between this game and Clemson at Syracuse, but Syracuse got blown out, so it's going to be this game. Yeah, it's going to be a fun environment. This rivalry is always fun to watch. I think it was 3 years ago, this game went to overtime, and Iowa ended up pulling it out, but it was back and forth the whole game, and I think the final score was like 44-41 or something like that. But it's always fun to see. Cyclones and Hawkeyes are awesome mascots. So,
oh god, yeah. When you look at Ohio State too, who typically like to show up when they shouldn't and beat teams, especially when you look back at the year that Baker Mayfield was with you, and whenever they really put a hurting on Texas. I don't know, man. Iowa team that is very tough. This is going to be a fun game. I think this is going to be the one game. This is the recliner game easily.
Yeah, for me too. Because not super invested in either. I'm a fan of both teams. I say a fan. I like both teams.
Iowa State's pretty good.
Yeah, Iowa State's pretty good. You know, they just yeah, I got you.
Still sickens me that you said that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that they're coming off a close game to Northern Iowa, but Northern Iowa is one of the best teams in the FCS. I like Iowa State in this one, simply because they're in Ames. It's a rivalry game, but it's going to be close. It's going to be less than a touchdown, probably like a field goal. But I like Iowa State in this one.
I like it. Here's why you're wrong. Iowa has a ridiculously good defense. I'm big on their team. I think that they're going to do very well. And I think they're going to go right into Iowa State's house and they're going to make a statement. But it's going to be a fun game, man. I take Iowa probably by 10.
Okay. I like
I like that. Don't pick. At me.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is going to be a fun game. I didn't really know which way to go either way. Both ranked in the top 25.
It's close. I just think Iowa State. I keep saying Iowa State. I just think Iowa's defense is going to be too big. It's going to be too much. But hey, I could be wrong. They could get blown out, and we'll be laughing at me.
But I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I don't think. 20.
Really?
Yeah, like they'll get to the 20s maybe.
What's your final score? You're picking Iowa State. What's your final score?
20-17.
17. What a typical score.
Yeah, 20-17.
On 13-3.
13-3.
13-3, man. I think it's going to be a very. I think you're going to have a lot of goal line stands. Not necessarily goal line stands. You're going to have a lot of goal line mishaps. There's going to be a pick at the 5-yard line. There's going to be a fumble on the 10. You're going to see a lot of long drives that come up with nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going 13-10.
What's the give me the line? What's the over under for this game? What's the over under for the amount of points they're picking to score?
Over under 45.
45. I'm taking the under.
Spread.
Give me the under.
I'm taking the under as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm taking spread 2. I mean, I'm taking that.
Yeah.
Iowa covers, I think.
Yeah, we don't really get into all that betting stuff.
But it's fun to.
It's fun to talk about.
Hypothesize. I started to say it's fun to hypothetical, but that's very wrong. It's fun. It's fun to hypothesize.
Oh, for sure. So, but yeah.
Now for the most heated of the games this week.
Yeah, tell me about. We're going to do 2 this week. Tell me about UMass at Charlotte. Bottom of the barrel game of the week. UMass.
Did we have Charlotte on a bottom of the barrel game this week? I mean, this season already?
We did. They played Gardner Webb.
It's the first ever. Is this the first ever bottom of the barrel
repeat customer? Yes,
repeat
sir.
customer. Well, who won last time? Do you remember?
Charlotte won their game.
I'm taking Charlotte again. I think they're hot. I think they're going to stay hot.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like those chrome helmet. I like those chrome helmets that wore against Appalachian State, and I don't know anything about UMass. So go Charlotte. Go 49ers.
All right, let's have it. I'm into it. Well, pick Charlotte. We're in agreement.
Yeah. Tell me about Buffalo at Liberty. Bottom of the barrel game 2.
And go ahead and pull that up, actually. Buffalo Control Fund. There's too many teams, dude. When I look for these things, I'm just like, wow, there's so many teams. Buffalo at Liberty. They've got 5 o'clock. They're going to go to Liberty.
Where's Liberty located? I don't know actually where they're.
First of all, Liberty's 0-2. That's something.
Yeah.
Liberty Flames.
What city are they located in?
Tell you what I like about this little segment, Spencer, is that we learn a lot about these teams.
Oh, for sure.
Syracuse let's see.
Yeah.
Lynchburg, Virginia.
Liberty's in Lynchburg, Virginia. Okay. So East Coast game.
We got Buffalo as the favorites. The spread is 5. The over/under is 57.5. I am going to take the 0-2 Liberty Flames. I think that they get it done against the Buffalo Bulls.
Mm-hmm. I'm also going to go with the Fighting Hugh Freezes.
Serious? You're going to go with them?
Yeah, I think they get it done.
We're going to have a disagreement this week? We're just going to say it's cool? And
yeah, whatever.
There's two bottom of the barrel games this week, and we're going to agree on both.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Hugh Freeze is coaching from a dental chair that costs $5,000, and
that's right.
I like Liberty's uniforms, so let's get after it.
Yeah, man, I'm into it. Best of luck to Mr. Freeze, Coach Freeze.
Yeah, I hope he gets well soon.
Just because I think it'd be the first time a coach has ever won a game from a dental chair.
Yeah, they say it's not a dental chair, but I know a dental chair when I see one.
That's the kind of stats I'm after. I want to know when the first coach won a game in a dental chair or hospital bed. It's
going to be this weekend.
Who was the coach from the state championship in Texas a few years ago?
Was it Newton? Was it somebody from Newton?
I think it was Newton who had the life support. Very inspiring story.
Yeah, that guy was great. I think he ended up passing away. Rest in peace.
But it was a very nice story. You could look it up. I'm pretty sure it's Newton. Just look up like Newton coach dies, and you'll probably find the story.
Yeah,
kind of morbid, but you'll find it. But he had an IV. He had some sort of cancer, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
But the team won. I mean, they rallied around him. It was a really make a movie over it in the next 20 years where